Well, over the past several years, I've put out a few videos on YouTube, but not as fearmonger stuff, but considered absolutely factual. I think first of all that Edgar Casey was absolutely correct in his catastrophic predictions for the future. Although people have um, estimated when they were going to happen. A lot of people said 2012, 2000. I think it's 2046, as the research by Doug Voight of the Diehold Foundation says, the 12,068 year cycle. Now, this has been going on for like not just millions of years, probably billions of years. And the Earth was a fiery ball at one time, very close to the sun. And as the solar novas happen on a cyclical base of 12,068 years, at least that's what's happened on the cycle over the last, I don't know, million years maybe. I don't know what it was doing, what the cycle was way back a billion years ago, but they estimated there's been many, many cycles that it is 12,068 years. We're all stars, nova, and it fries everything on Earth, pushes the Earth a little further from the sun, and that's how the Earth was pushed away from the sun, become a fiery ball. Then originally it was a fiery ball, then it was condensed hot steam vapor, then the water finally condensed, the vapor finally condensed into water, then the Earth was mainly water. But as the Earth gets pushed away on a 12,068 year cycle, it loses a little bit of water. So the Earth had a lot of water at one time, and it was a steamy, hot, tropical, lush with vegetation. I don't want to call it a paradise, with the woolly mammoths and cold-blooded reptiles, and the Bible it's a lot of historical influence and correct in a lot of ways, and also I think it has some future viewing in the Bible, but it's not complete as to everything that happened. I'm not an atheist, okay? I'm not knocking everything with the Bible, but there's a lot of stuff in there that isn't really that great. So you could see what's righteous and what's wrong. You know, I don't want to get down that religious trail because some people are very set in their beliefs, but I believe there's a creator. There's a force that is an intelligent force that creates life. We can influence life. We can help life. We can, make life grow, but we can't really create life. So there's a creator. There's actually, if you look at it like this, there's not much difference. If on an atomic level, what the hell's the difference between a human being and the sum of all its parts at an atomic level? You could say inert matter at an atomic level is this, and it's the sum of all these parts at an atomic level. We have so much carbon, we have so much hydrogen, we have so much oxygen, so much whatever. And how come it's a human being? It's an intelligent force that creates it. So it's something beyond the scope of science by far. That's where religion gets in play. But what I'm saying is, I think, I saw something, I forgot who put it out, I forgot the guy who put it out, actually put it up on BitChute, because I copied part of the video and you wanted to, because I'm not going to copy any video here because this is YouTube, but I think it was put out on a Camelot project originally. Guy who's talking back in 2009, he says that the elite believe that there's a cycle of every 12,000 years, and it should be 12,068 years to be pinpoint. In other words, the next cycle is going to happen October of 2046, where there's a cataclysmic geological event that occurs on the Earth. What they're looking to do, according to this guy who was from the Camelot, I don't know if he was part of the Camelot project or whatever, he says what they believe is that there's going to be the cataclysmic geological event that's going to wipe out most of humanity. So what they're looking to do is establish complete control over humanity, dwindle it down, and then bring people underground for the remnant of the human race underground for when this cataclysmic event happens. Now, is that really how it's playing out? Maybe. But he was predicting about the virus being pushed out in China, to eliminate their population, and also to instill tighter, really super tight controls over the entire population, and also it would be followed up by World War III. Yeah, no kidding. I think that's an absolute I can't even call this conspiracy theory. I think it's like a freaking postulate. If you got any brains at all, you can see this is how it's playing out. What I'm looking at is, I have, I said my IQ, I had my IQ measured decades ago twice. Once when I was 17, once when I was 27. It's 130. That's pretty good, right? That's actually supposed to be highly gifted. But there are a lot more intelligent people out. I know I talk real working class, but I'm really, when you get down to technical and numbers, I'm pretty damn good. That's why I was doing the accounting. But when you get down to, what was I going to say? The absolute intelligence. My intelligence is nowhere near as a lot of other people out there. But one place I got an ace is that I got a lot of common sense. And that common sense, quote unquote, comes from because I have a wide variety of interests. I do a lot of different things. I'm not just a freaking bookworm. And this sometimes helps me see the entire picture in a common sense way, where some of these really technically orientated people that are far better than me in their field of expertise, they don't see the big picture. I think this thing with the 12,000 year cycle is correct. Doug Voight's not the only one that put this out. There's others. I forgot where it was. I mentioned it on one of my videos about the 12,000 year cycle, where they've shown this to happen over the last couple 100,000 years. And modern man's been around a couple 100,000 years. Now, I'm showing the pyramids here, and like one of the things they always said, the casing stones were taken off the pyramid and used to build Cairo. That's one of the things they say. Well, there's other archaeologists out there who say there was a cataclysmic event that happened that blew the casing stones off the pyramid, off the sides of the pyramid, and the casing stones were all strewn across the desert, and all they had to do was pick them up off the desert to build Cairo with. Well, some people say they didn't build Cairo with it, but whatever. But my point is that, if you look at the flooding damage on the Sphinx, and this is not just erosion, this was a cataclysmic event. Some whatever you call those damn archaeologists will say that this was caused by a geological event, not man-made, where they pulled the casing stones off of this. And there's a lot of evidence to show that about 12,000 years ago or so, that there was construction going on of other pyramids and other structures with mammoth stones that we couldn't barely lift today with the most modern cranes. Like some of these stones were 100 tons. That construction was stopped in midstream. Then of course we got the fable of Atlantis. I'll tell you, the Romans had a lot more knowledge about the earth and what happened. I'll guarantee there's a lot of stuff stored down in the Vatican archives that will tell you what's happened in the past. And they don't want those secrets out. I know the elite know this kind of crap, elite, quote unquote. Now, it's funny about the elite because they're so damn obvious. I get kind of miffed when I know there's a lot of disinformation garbage out there on YouTube. Pretty much, you see anybody that's a diehard Trump fan. I'm not saying I'm not knocking the guy all the way, but he's kind of like what you call, in his heart, he might be a lot better than what he's actually doing, I think. But the problem is they got so much dirt on him that he's controlled. They got dirt on everybody. All politicians are controlled. So it's not, I know the Democrats or demon rats are way worse, but it's not like Trump is going to save us in Q and all this other crap. That's pure disinformation. But what I'm seeing is this is a playbook right off of what this other guy said. You can look at the video up on BitChute. I'll probably point to a link to it. And if you want to put some $5 or whatever in my PayPal, I'd appreciate it very much. Because, I'm actually spending more time doing this stuff. But I'm not just doing this. I'm prepping for myself. For now, I'm going to stay in the Central Florida, kind of like North Central Florida area, because it doesn't get really cold down here or nothing like that. It's probably a decent survival area. Long term, I'm definitely want to be up in Tennessee. Definitely, if still considering I'm alive, I'll be like 90 something years old then in 2046. And I want to be up in Tennessee when this big kahuna freaking hits 2046. But in the meantime, these guys are actually trying to, the elite, I'm talking these guys, are trying to get absolute control over the population and will it down. I think, I know it's obvious that there's um, population control agendas out there, but it's not just somebody will just say it's strictly demonic. I don't think it is. I don't think it's all that. I know these people don't give a shit about life. It's like, if you got a lot of power, it's almost like your life is like another insect out there. That's how they think of you. But the problem is that when they get all this control over us, they got you can't trust it. I don't mind the concept whereby people will need to go survive what's going to come up in the next 26 years. But when you got an elite group controlling this situation, once you get it, I don't care how good that person is. You give a person too much power to get drunk with the power. It's like taking heroin or some shit. I mean, I don't take heroin, but it's something like that. They're going to change. Even if they're an honorable person, they're going to change. And even if they're a religious person, they start putting out a little bull crap in the Bible to kill people just for the hell of it. I'm also pointing out this was something that Doug Voight pointed out about these canyons that go to the bottom of the ocean. There's no running water on the bottom of the ocean. This actually happened because the Earth, when it changed direction of rotation, see, when a solar nova happens, the magnetic poles flip. And when they're getting close, they can see what's going on. The magnetic fields are moving, and they're getting weaker. What's going on is that when these poles flip, the Earth's rotation changes, and the Earth is actually going 1,000 miles an hour at the equator. So what happens when that happens is that the oceans go over the land. In other words, it's like the Earth is, you don't feel it because of the gravitational pull, but when the water is not going to change direction as fast as the land is going to immediately change direction, and some of the plates of the land are going to slip over each other. There's going to be a lot of earthquakes and stuff, but there's going to be the water is going to come over the land at that time. That was the predictive program in the movie 2012. They showed a Tibetan guy ringing the bell up in the mountains, and a wave is coming at him and stuff. Well, maybe it's not going to go that high. They don't really know. Because every time this happens, the Earth gets pushed further away from the sun, and we lose several feet of ocean. That's what happens. Actually, Mars, at one point in time, was probably like Earth. There's actually water in Mars, but it's it's in the polar ice caps. It's too cold. But there's evidence that there was rivers and streams in Mars and life on Mars at one point in time. Eventually, Earth, so many gazillions of years from now, I don't know how long it's going to take for it to get that far out. But the obvious history of Earth is that it was a fiery ball at one time. Then it cooled down where it was a bunch of hot air, water vapor. Then the water cooled down enough where the water temperature started condensing the water vapor into water. And then it was mostly oceans. And then as the Earth was being pushed away from the sun at a 12,068 year cycle, the oceans were diminished a little bit at a time. So, this is what happens. It's not a mini nova. I know some of these freaking people on YouTube call it a mini nova. It's not a mini nova. It's a freaking nova. It's going to scorch everything on the side of the Earth where it hits. And on the opposite side of the Earth, it's going to flash freeze it because it compresses the atmosphere on the opposite side of the Earth from where the nova hits. It just causes a drastic drop in temperature. That's what happened to the mastodons up in Siberia. They're finding mastodons up there flash frozen with grassy vegetation in their tummy, and they were feeding mastodon meat to sled dogs even up through the 1900s, early 1900s, in Siberia, because it was flash frozen so quickly that the meat was still good from thousands of years ago. That's the opposite side of the Earth from where the nova hits. It compresses the atmosphere, causes a drastic drop in temperature. And then when it hit the side of the Earth it hits, It's going to evaporate vast amounts of ocean, plus push part of the ocean, several feet of the ocean, out into the solar system. That's where the Earth loses a little water, but it's going to evaporate vast amounts of ocean. There's going to be all the debris from the burnt everything, all life, vegetation from the side of the Earth. The solar burst hits. That's going to all go into the atmosphere, and then the atmosphere is going to basically, then with all that junk in the atmosphere, with all the clouds and the water vapor and everything from all the burnt carbon from everything that was burnt, that's going to then block out the sun's solar heating rays, cause a drastic drop in temperature on the Earth, and then all that vapor that was from the oceans that got evaporated is going to start coming down for over next many years to form the major ice age. That's how, like, Seattle got put under 2 miles of ice. New York City got put under a mile of ice. There was snow coming down like in, I don't know, dozens of feet every freaking day for years and years and years and years. That's how that happened. I think they tell you that, I think it was like 30-something years for 2 miles of ice to form in Seattle or something like that. So if you do the calculations, like 10 inches of snow was 1 inch of ice or something like that. It's like, to get a mile of ice is 10 miles of snow. And it happened over, just some decades. It's a lot of feet of snow every day. That's what happens. So this is going to happen again. So I know there's been theories that there was alien life on this Earth. Maybe there is. I don't know. Who the hell? Even how would I know this? I mean, maybe not. Who knows? But it's it's probably a good possibility that, mankind progressed over 12,000 years, or 12,068 years to be precise. And, from start one, and then this big catastrophe happened again. And then we probably had not that many people left. Maybe there was 100, 200, 500, 3. I don't know how many. I mean, the 3. There had to be more than that. And then mankind started rebuilding again. But all that information was lost. People were just worried about what the hell to eat. How do you survive? And probably the people that had the knowledge of what was going on, the sophisticated ancient technology, you would call it, quote unquote, they died off. There's no way to write it. I mean, it wasn't like you could just had a piece of paper and you could start writing things down again. You got nothing, right? So this is like, actually, if you look at that movie, The Space Odyssey, 2001, where they showed a monolith and it went right back to the ancient times from the most modern, that's probably a Q too, man. Q. I don't want to mention that word Q. Q is a dirty letter to me, because that's disinformation, guy, and I tell you right now. Believe me. Don't believe me. Whatever. Yeah, I know. My third great granddaddy was Lionel Nathan Rothschild. You shouldn't trust me, right? I don't know what the hell that means. It's probably very, very true, but whatever. I got probably some of his demonic sense, so you better listen to me. It's like, let me say this. It's I could usually see the freaking forest where a lot of people even smarter than me. I mean, my expertise is not, and on my SATs, I think I had like 86, 87 percentile in English, and math was always the top 1%, right? So, I mean, I talk plain, but, don't underestimate what I'm saying. I'm going to give it to you this all in layman's terms, because I don't like freaking playing fancy bullshit. Now, if you look at this is a map of the inner Earth axis map. To tell you the truth, I think this is true. I mean, it's been so many reports that we have all these deep underground bases and tunnels. Who the hell knows what they're doing down there, I mean, I put out the thing about the friends of David what is his name? David Goldberg. I don't know. I think it's half true, half false. Sort of like Alex Jones. Half true, half false. You don't know what the hell's going on. Exactly. They throw you freaking some truths and then they steer you off course. But the problem for humanity, 2.5 decades from now, so it's 26 years from now. So I mean, don't panic about this shit. I mean, there's a lot of shit you could do. I don't know, build a stainless steel freaking pyramid and live in it. You know, deflect the freaking heat and with the rays. I really don't know, but there's always something you could do. Nuke-proof homes. Buy a home from nuke-proof homes for the coming disaster. But you know, the problem is getting the population started up again, and that's where you need a womb man. You know, WOMBMAN. It's a man with a womb. So that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of freaking pregnant females down there in the tunnels. That's what's good. That's what I think is going to happen. That's what I think they're planning for. And I think a lot of people don't have a clue what's going on. It's cool that Doug Voight really laid it out, because I knew about the grand solar minimum and how it's going to bottom out around 2050. Now, Doug Voight's got the pinpoint date of October 2046 when this solar nova is going to happen. And, you know, I knew about the grand solar minimum and the mini ice ages, and some of the Russians say that we're going into the major ice age. And I thought, you know, there's going to be a lot of geological problems at that time, because they usually do have them at that time, even during the mini ice ages. Well, this is probably going to the major ice age, and the solar novas would actually cause it. I mean, you're not going to have a major ice age right at the time of the solar nova, but when all the Earth's charred life is up in the atmosphere with carbon blocking out the atmosphere, solar rays and heat, and all the water vapor is up there from the oceans that have evaporated, that's when the major ice age starts, because the sun's rays and heating rays can't get to the Earth, and then all that water that evaporated from the ocean starts coming down. So I think they're ready for this. The problem is, you know, when people got absolute power, it's bad news. It is. It's bad news. Even if the overall underlying purpose might possibly be good. Might. I don't know. And I don't really consider this a theory so much, because that one, I'll point to the video that I did on it, and it's up in BitChute, because I put it on BitChute because I copied the video of the guy from Project Camelot talking about what the elite believe, that in a 12,000-year cycle, there's a cataclysmic geological event that happens all over Earth, that humanity is reduced to a fraction of what, you know, it was. Then we lose all this information, we lose everything we ever built up again. And what they're doing is they're trying to, according to him, get humanity down to a manageable size, tightly controlled, and then before this happened, they're going to go underground and hopefully survive it. You know? I mean, tell you the truth, I think this is probably accurate. I mean, you know, you got your religious beliefs, and I know a lot of people say Jesus is going to come back, and I tell you, most of the world doesn't believe Jesus is going to come back. And I want to throw my conjectures in here, because Jesus was a rabbi. I mean, some would say, no, he was Jewish. Everything he said came right from the Talmud. Everything. I mean, not word for word exactly, but if you change, you could see it's there. I'm not going to argue with you. Just going to tell you real quick. And, you know, he was married. As a rabbi, he was married. This is why I lean Jewish, but I don't go along with all that stuff, too. I mean, crying out loud, they get a little too ridiculous, too. I mean, I kind of lean that way a little bit, but I don't really lean to any religion, man. But I know there's a creator. I know that. I know there's a force beyond us. There's so many, and actually, it's not just one religion. There's so many things that happen that support various religions. There's things that happen that are beyond us. We are somehow connected into other realms, or another realm, or something. It's not, you know, everything, even like in this physical world, when you get down to an atomic level, it's all energy. You know, if you took all the people on this earth and you took the space away from the electrons in the atoms, just, you know, because everything, you know, the atoms are basically have electrons swirling around the nucleus, and that's like matter itself. It's really all atoms. It's really like an energy. If you took all the people in this earth and you took all the space away from the electrons in the atom, all the people in this earth would fit inside the space of a thimble. So everything is like energy. It's like an intelligent energy. I mean, you call that, is that a god? So in a way, you know. I don't know what the hell's going to happen here exactly, but I think the plan on this is there's more to this than most people suppose. Now, Bill Gates, I think he's Soros and these guys. As far as I'm concerned, you don't want these guys being in charge of any kind of problem with cataclysmic event in the world. As far as I'm concerned, any of those guys, they're bad news. They're bad news. But anyway, just for food for thought. I'm going to upload this on video, YouTube only. It's going to be one of those videos that, whatever. These people flag it. I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want, you jerks. As far as I'm concerned, you flag people in YouTube land, whatever the hell you are. You're nothing. I mean, you're freaking part of the game. Well, do whatever you want. I don't give a shit. I don't really give a shit. That's why I'm on BitChute right now. But I think, they said this guy Edgar Casey, you could think of him as a prophet. You could think of him as a prophet. Another guy you should look at, if you really want to, one of the guys that's more convincing than anybody about religious matters in a way is Nikola Tesla, with some of the things he said very late in life. He's very convincing. It's like you don't need to have a religious dogma. This guy, he knows. It's like and the joke is too, we probably, if we pursued Nikola Tesla's inventions and developed them for the good of humanity, when this stupid solar nova happened, we could have been 100% protected. I call it stupid solar nova. It's going to happen. I'm pretty sure it's not a conspiracy theory, and I don't really give a shit if you think it is. You know what? I'm hoping that I got a nice burrowed out cave in the side of the mountain up there in Tennessee, and I survive it no problem. Jackass think it's a conspiracy theory, you freaking fry. I don't give a damn. That's why I look at it. But that's going to be a ways off. I'm going to be 90-something years old, so I mean, I got to keep breathing this hydroxy Brown's gas HHO, which I'm doing right now, and survive all this crap even up to that time. Right now, Florida's a safer bet than Tennessee. That's what I'm saying. But I think the guy. This is not some kind of bullshit theory. And if you think it is, fine. I don't care. I know there's a lot of drama people out there that play the game. They play the funky music in the background. It's trying to scare you. And they go, ooh. I'm just giving you facts. You look back, this guy Doug Voight is the only guy that said the 12,000 year cycle. It's the major ice ages, but he figured out what causes the major ice ages. That part I didn't know. I knew there's a lot of cataclysmic events that happen every 12,000 years. And the thing is that this one guy, like I said, I'll point to that video on BitChute. You can look at it. It's like you could skip what I said in the beginning and get right down into what the guy's talking. And what he's talking is, he says he's going to do it a virus. You're going to follow up by World War III. Like I said, if they pursued all of Nikola Tesla's technology for the good of humanity, we'd all survive this crap. We wouldn't have a problem. We could probably make some kind of shields against it or something. We probably know exactly when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, what part of the earth we all need to move to, whatever. You don't want to be on the side of the earth where the solar nova hits, and you don't want to be on the other side where the atmosphere compresses, where you have an immediate drop in temperature by like 100 degrees. What you want to do is you want to be halfway in between, wherever the hell that is. You got to figure out where that's going to happen. But these greedy jackasses that are money whores, and that's why you really can't trust any billionaire. Period. And I know people still got a lot of hope in Trump. And Trump is like maybe not as bad on the inside, but the net effect is he's controlled. He's controlled, man. They got dirt on this guy, man. I'm telling you right now. Will I vote for him? Possibly. If I vote, I will vote for him. I'm thinking this time around I might not even vote, These guys are all weasels. As a matter of fact, when you look at the politicians with this virus thing, it's so obvious what's going on. And you can, even if you don't even believe in, that you're trying to push a forced vaccination program, anybody, any idiot can see that it's overblown to the max. All the politicians, virtually all of them, I mean, going all the way down to city councilmen and mayors, they're sucking up to Bill Gates and Fauci right to the max. That's why I hate all of them. And the cops and the law enforcement or the military, well, just obeying orders. I don't like these. I never liked these people, man. They might be okay as a person, but when it comes right down to it, they're going to protect their paycheck. That's what they're about. So this video will go on YouTube, and food for thought. And personally, I don't trust any of these jackasses in charge. There might be a freaking good reason behind some of this garbage. Like I said, the 12,000 year cycle. But anybody gets absolute control, I don't give a crap how good they were before they had absolute control. Once they get absolute control, it's like taking a drug. That's why, I'm not a fan of any of these dictators, including presidential dictators. I know sometimes people, they go down a rabbit hole with freaking Adolf Hitler and shit. I'm like, God, you got to be kidding me, man. I mean, I could say this. The average German soldier was fighting against Bolshevism and communism and protecting his country from an invasion by a Bolshevik, controlled Russia, which was financed by New York. I don't disrespect the average German soldier. And, maybe this Adolf guy, if he wasn't fucking dictator, he would have been okay. It's just at a lower level, you never display your worst traits. You want to bring out the worst shit in people? Give them too much power. That's human nature. This is why I don't trust this crap. There could be some kind of good overall scheme behind it, intentions. But when you give a small group of people too much power, just like Susan Wojcicki and these people that flag videos, they ain't worth a shit. And also, I want to ask you again, if you want to go over to BitChute and give me $5 or something, I'd appreciate it very much. I do not waste any money. I don't waste any money for shit. I want to tell you something financial. You shouldn't either. Thing is that people are wasting, this downturn in the economy. As long as it stays with hardcore good essentials, who the hell cares? It's not going to do that much. Because, if so-and-so hairdresser goes out of business, just do your own freaking hair. You know what I mean? That is one of the things you can do the most to, for yourself. Don't waste any money. A lot of people, once they got some money, they find a way to blow it. If I spend money, it's something on material that I can use in the future. If you want to help me out, I appreciate it very much. You don't have to, of course. It's freaking optional. I'm not freaking playing Subscribe Star or any of this bullshit. And I'm not selling nothing. I might, if I can freaking figure out a good deal, I might sell like knives. I ain't gonna sell no stupid T-shirts. If I ever do something. If I do something. Or some kind of multi-tool or some bullshit like that. If I get a super deal on it somehow, then I can flip it for a few bucks profit where you wouldn't get as good. In other words, it'd be a good deal to you. That's what I would do if I wind up selling something. It ain't gonna be a stupid T-shirt, man. These people selling T-shirts aggravate the crap out of me. The only T-shirt I buy is one with a Confederate flag on it because it's like it shows me. I like that flag. I got a lot of Confederate videos. I just say, why I like that flag? Oh, it ain't history and heritage. It's because it's putting a finger right at the elite. That's what it is. Black people got brainwashed on it, but that's not what it's about. It's putting a finger at the elite. Anyway, over and out. Have a nice day.